Some people don't realize that. It's not like the president and vice president who run together as a ticket. The lieutenant governor in our state is elected separately of the governor. And, uh, and Dan Matthews has come through the primary, is challenging the current incumbent lieutenant governor who is seeking re-election. And like Pete Serrano, Dan Matthews would bring a refreshing, constitutional, and lawful perspective to the job of lieutenant governor. Dan, take it away.
Thank you. And the answer to the current lieutenant governor is heck no.
Right.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you. Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you have heard me speak before? Oh, we're done. Okay. Well, I'll try it again. Hello, you big basket of deplorables.
Yeah.
That usually gets an applause if we remember who used those terms and her regard for the American public.
Hillary Clinton.
That's right. You know, she's the type of person, being what she is, that figures that whatever she says go, and we have to fall in line. Well, I am Dan Matthews, running for lieutenant governor. I'll give you a little bit of history of my background and my unfamiliarity with microphones.
Just hold it closer to your mouth.
Yeah, you gotta.
He's just turning down my pacemaker, so I'll
Nice.
All right, I was born in Seattle, as was my wife, Jan. Just 2 months ago, we celebrated our 51st wedding anniversary. And 6 days ago, our 13th grandchild was born, so we're adding to the Republican fold. We have 4 children, and they're spread out in Illinois, Tennessee, and then 2 are here in town. I was born in a modest means family of 7 kids. When I was 5 and a half, my dad died of polio just 2 months before the Salk vaccine came out, leaving 7 kids, all under 13, and a mom wondering, what the heck am I going to do now? You can imagine. Well, she did pretty well. All 7 of us graduated from college, 5 of us with advanced degrees or beyond, and there were 6 boys and a girl in that order, so my sister was a pretty tough lady. She was an Olympic athlete. She lives now in Haifa, Israel. And I talked to her just the other day, and she said, I'm staying, Dan. With missiles going overhead, she's staying. So
Wow.
pretty tough cookie. We're here today for the same reason. We care. And those of us who have been going around the state, by the way, this is a big state. Did you know that? From Walla Walla to Whatcom County, Spokane, down to Vancouver. Holy cow. And they're not all in the same area. A lot of them in King County, obviously. But what we've been finding, and I know Pete would agree with this because we appear a lot together, we've been finding that there is an anxiety in the air. There is an anticipation. There is an understanding that change is in the air because change is necessary. And that is what we're seeing, and not just among Republican crowds. But people are realizing that what is happening in our society, both nationally and locally, is, for want of a better term, I'll use a technical term, insane. It's absolutely beyond conscience sometimes when a state legislature starts passing bills that says the state of Washington has primary responsibility for the raising of children. Parents look at each other and going, what are we here for? That's a direct challenge to parents. And usurping the power, the rights and responsibility of parents and of the individual seems to be the current trend. 40 years of one-party rule has got to stop. And it begins with sessions like this where we gather together, candidates talk to you, and the theme is universal among Republicans. Smaller, limited, efficient government, bigger citizens. It's that simple. The bigger government gets, the more our rights and responsibilities, but the more our rights shrink. So we meet today under the Constitution, free of being intruded upon, free of assembly, free speech, for now. But at what point are we going to have somebody monitoring what we say and telling us that we're haters? It's already happening. Folks, it doesn't start with gallows and gulags and gas chambers. It starts when one party controls the discussion, when the media controls the, excuse me, jeez. When one party controls the rhetoric, when the media controls everything, ladies and gentlemen, our rights are at risk. Everything that we say and do is at risk. We are on the threshold of tyranny. After graduating from college, where I majored in political science, I went into the U.S. Air Force, became a pilot. I flew in Vietnam. I remember being spit on. That was almost a generation ago, it seems. Later on, my reserve unit was activated for Desert Storm. I remember the yellow ribbons, the respect due to those who serve. Mm-hmm. I served on a school board. On that school board was a lady named Patty Murray. So I've been in 3 wars. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a job to do. We have to remember what's at stake. Our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to a document that they knew mattered, patterned literally after the Bible. There are so many references to Deuteronomy in the Constitution that they just assumed that in their generation. Mm-hmm. But at the start of everything, they said, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. They dedicated their lives, and if you look at the history of the 56 signers, many of them gave their lives, and most of them lost everything. Mm-hmm. Are we willing to do that? What are we willing to do to fight for our liberties and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity? What are we willing to do? We have traveled all over the state, and we will continue to do so till November 12th. That's what we're telling our Democrat friends is election day. I enjoin you, folks. Don't give up. Realize that this is worth fighting for. It is worth fighting for. The liberties we enjoy can no longer be complacently enjoyed or apathetically. With indifference comes tyranny. With ignorance comes tyranny. Too many people don't know and don't care. We must be the change agents, all of us. It's not up to me, Dan Matthews, it's up to we, all of us, to come together to say, I will do whatever is necessary. I will tell others how I'm voting because this matters to me. Your email list is a PCO's dream because you communicate to people, this is who I'm voting for, this is why I'm voting, and they will respect that. Mm-hmm. Tell them I'm voting for Dave Larson for the Supreme Court. Oh, now I know how to vote for a judge. They will respect their opinion because most of them know that you're involved, that you care. That you care is why you're here. Isn't it strange how pastors and teachers, those of us who sit up in the bleachers, common people like you and me, are builders for eternity. Each is given a bag of tools, some building blocks, a book of rules, and each must shape ere life is flown, a stumbling block or a stepping stone. Let us be builders of stepping stones, that our children may step forward in liberty, confident that they live in a free America, free to dream, free to do, free to be, not encumbered or enslaved by socialism and the Marxist tyranny that is failed at every turn. We are Americans, proud to be here, proud to serve. In whatever capacity we can, we will not give up. We must not give up. Contact 10 people if you would. Just 10 people and tell them why you're voting. And then the next day do the same and ask them to do the same thing, to pass it on to 10 people. And before you know it, you've got a movement. Let us not be ashamed in doing well. Any of us. From now to election, what do we got, 36 days or whatever, 38 days?
38.
Wow. And it's less than that we know in our state because the ballots have already been sent to our servicemen overseas. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service in whatever capacity you're doing. Don't give up, because see that baby back there or the little one over here? You're fighting for their rights. And 4 years from now, I guarantee if the other side prevails, it'll be one heck of a big fight. I'll close with the musings of that great philosopher Dave Chappelle, who says, I love the First Amendment, but if that fails, I have the Second Amendment. I'm Dan Matthews, running for Lieutenant Governor. I'll take your questions or I'll take your money, so thank you.
Quick question for Dan. Carmen.
So many people don't know, what are the powers and responsibilities of the Lieutenant Governor?
I don't know, I've been reading a lot here. And well, first of all, the main responsibilities preside, just like the Vice President. Think the Vice President presides over the Senate. As presiding officer, a lot of responsibility there. He chairs the Rules Committee, 21-member Rules Committee. He also chairs the Legislative Committee on Economic Development and International Relations, a 13-member committee that the Lieutenant Governor appoints from the legislature, both the House and the Senate. They meet 3 or 4 times a year, and that's a huge responsibility because they touch base with, right now, 41 different countries on trade and other issues. About 8 or 10 other committees and commissions serving both sometimes with the governor and the attorney general, but a lot of responsibility. What I intend to bring to this office is a little bit of change in direction. I intend to bring statesmanship and civility, less partisanship and rancor, and more teamwork. You can imagine as a pilot, I flew for Northwest Airlines for 31 years and the Air Force for 22, at 24,000 hours. We have a paradigm in the cockpit. It's called crew resource management, where the co-pilot and I and everybody else falls into the line of working as a team, not a dictator and everybody else. You can imagine in the cockpit if we were going, you did not, you did too, I'm not talking to you. Everybody would want to get off the plane and go to Tokyo on a different day. But instead we work as a team, and that's what I intend to be in Olympia, as a team builder, a communicator, one that tries to work with both sides equally and govern effectively and be, as is statutory, it is the only direct link between the executive branch and the legislative branch in the lieutenant governor. So that's an awesome role. I don't really have an agenda. My agenda is that of the governor. Dave Reichert's agenda is what I will assume to communicate that to especially the Senate. But my whole direction again is to be a statesman down in Olympia, to listen carefully and to be a conduit of communication for the public, accessible in a unique way so that the public knows, can't get through the governor, can't get my representative or the senators, oh, the lieutenant governor's available. So I intended to really accentuate that fact too. Great question, thank you.
Thanks so much, Dan.
This is a little louder. Does this sound a little better? Okay, I've always come prepared. So the next person's set. Okay. Doesn't turn off though. King County Chair, I come prepared. All right.
Yeah. Maybe too prepared. Dan's website is electdanmatthews.com. If you have any interest in his campaign, which you should, and if you have any interest in the lieutenant governor's position, as Dan mentioned, the main constitutional responsibility of lieutenant governor is the presiding officer and potential tie-breaking vote in the state Senate. And boy, they could use some better wrangling over there in the state Senate. Our next speaker is going to be Carmen Goers, our nominated and endorsed candidate for the U.S. Congress